Hey there, I'm Jesse, and you're listening to the Deep Lore Boys podcast, where me, Matthew, and Jackson delve into the random, rare, and often ridiculous pieces of human history.
It is the perfect American knife.
I like that was a trade that Pepsi accepted.
They were saying that he invented this thing called Angel Light.
Now, could the SS Mountain Dew have existed?
Jesse, you can't, you gave me a little bit of context, but bruh.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Deep Lore Boys podcast. I use the phrase, today is a very special episode, quite a lot, and it's always true, especially today, because we've got a guest on board, Mr. Lockwood.
Good morning, everyone.
Guys, Lockwood is on the podcast.
Lockwood on the podcast,
Good
everybody.
evening.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, Lockwood.
Good sir, would you introduce yourself?
I don't know really what to say. I guess I'm a human being, and I like lore.
That's really
It's
the
pretty
only
cool.
requirement to be on this podcast.
Yeah, because we don't let
Yeah.
reptilians on here. That's
Yeah,
one of the
that's
big-
the truth.
So human being is pretty crucial.
Like, saying you're a human being is probably the most important thing you could have said. So, Lockwood, what lore would you like to discuss first?
I like knives. I like sharp objects. So let's just kick it off with the Bowie knife.
Yes,
The Bowie knife.
the Bowie knife.
I love how Wikipedia just really sets the stage here by saying the early history of the Bowie knife, or Bowie knife, my apologies, is complicated by murky definitions, limited
Oh.
supporting documentation, and conflicting claims.
All right, forgive me for being stupid here, but I actually thought it was Bowie knife. So it's Bowie.
It is Bowie. It is pronounced Bowie.
So it's not
Wow.
like the Goblin
And-
King actor in Labyrinth. It's like,
Jackson, David Bowie is known for a lot more than the Goblin in Labyrinth, okay?
It's a Jackson reference. You have to let it be.
Well, the Bowie knife. So you would recognize the Bowie knife. If it's like the classic clip point. If no one knows what a clip point is essentially it's rounded sort of on top. It's kind of hard to explain.
I mean, we can throw a picture up. For
Yeah,
it.
I'll put a picture up on screen.
what makes the Bowie knife special is it is more of a phenomenon than it is an actual dedicated knife. Nobody knows what it actually is supposed to look like because there's no actual like recorded history of the actual design of the knife.
Oh,
Hundreds of like different like proposed theories of what it looked like, but none of them are actually what it actually genuinely looked like. There's no title block or like engineering drawing, so it is shrouded in mystery.
So was this knife made by Jim Bowie? That's a name I'm seeing a lot on the
So-
wiki here. I scrolled down and I saw a section here called the Vidalia Sandbar fight, in which apparently it's this duel between Bowie and several men in 1827.
dude, what?
And I guess with the Bowie knife, he fought off just a bunch of ninjas or something in Louisiana.
So
Man.
to get to that point, we have to go back.
Okay,
a little
I'm
bit.
getting ahead of
So
myself.
Essentially, Resin Bowie designed and made the knife for Jim Bowie. Jim Bowie made it famous because he used it in the sandbar fight, but he also used it in the Battle of the Alamo.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
He
and
used it as
died
well.
in the Battle of the Alamo.
Oh, really?
Yes.
did he know Davy Crockett?
Can I read a chunk of the sandbar fight to you real quick?
Yeah, can we go into that for a second? This is super cool.
To make a long story short, there was a duel, and then at the end of the duel afterwards, there was a brawl, and that was the real bloody part of the confrontation. That was the sandbar fight. And in this fight, Jim Bowie I gotta stop saying that. Jim Bowie is smacked on the head with an empty pistol so hard that the pistol breaks. He drops to his knees. Somebody shoots at him and misses. Another guy runs up to Bowie and stabs him in the chest with a sword cane. But the cane hits his sternum, and as the guy tries to pull the sword out of Bowie, Bowie reaches up and pulls him into his knife and kills him. And then
Dude.
Jim stands up, gets shot at again, spins around and like cuts a dude's arm off almost. This is nuts. And after the fight, one doctor reputedly said, "How Bowie lived is a mystery to me, but live he did." This dude was
Yeah.
like, he
Dude.
went guts berserk.
Well, this is straight up a story of bringing a knife to a gunfight. and then winning.
It really is.
Like,
He did it, yeah.
Essentially, because of the sandbar fight, this knife became like the most important thing. Like everybody wanted one. So it got attention from all over the United States. It began showing up in movies. It was everywhere. So there was a bunch of people that would go out and they would be like, can you make me a Bowie knife? And then the guy would be like, what the heck is a Bowie knife? I don't know what it looks like. Nobody knows what it looks like. So they would use what their interpretation of the original description, a long curved knife. So they would use what they knew about their original culture. Say if you were Spanish, you would use like, your culture to kind of make a Bowie knife.
What you knew about knife smithing and whatnot.
It's just a conglomeration of different cultures being put into this knife.
Wow.
It is the perfect American knife.
Oh.
Because
Dude!
it is a bunch of different cultures being shoved into this knife. That's essentially where we ended up today with the classic Bowie knife. It's a clip point, 5 to 12-inch knife. That's all we know. That's all we have.
Wow.
To be fair, you can't really look it up online because you're just gonna get like a bunch of like mall ninja
Yeah,
knives.
that's what I'm seeing a lot of.
You really
Like,
gotta
I'm getting like RGB gamer knives and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
so have they never found the original knife?
Nope.
Dude, I feel like the original Bowie knife, though, like used in that duel, would be such a cool item to have. Like, they can't have just thrown that out. Somebody has that somewhere. Maybe the Bowie knife is lost because he died in the Battle of the Alamo. He might have had it on him,
Oh, was it there?
and then it could have been lost in battle.
I'd like to imagine that someday somebody will find the original Bowie knife and just become like the Dragon Warrior.
He'll take up the mantle.
Yeah.
It's like the sword in the stone, and he pulls it out and just becomes
Yeah.
like the president of the United States.
Yes.
It would actually be divine intervention, God saying, "Yes, you are the president of the United States," because this is the
you
Bowie
have the
knife.
Bowie knife.
This is it.
You are the new Bowie.
You have the mystical shank. You
have
are now
the-
president of a free world.
So like, all this happened because there was this guy who was talking with his brother, and he's like, "Hey, you can forge me a knife. You can make a knife." He's like, "Yeah, I can. That'd be cool. Can I have it?" Yeah. Takes it, brings it to a duel, kills a bunch of people, gets stabbed and shot at, and survives. Everybody sees this, goes, "Whoa, this must have been the knife," and they just all want his knife. And I mean, I can't argue if he had like some dinky, dumb knife, it probably wouldn't have gone too well for him. But it's just funny to me that people saw this incredible feat and were like, we need what this man has. We need
Yeah.
this. And it going all the way to now the K-bar knives that we have now are inspired by them. Like everything just came from this guy being really cool.
So I scrolled down to the bottom of the Wikipedia here, and it looks like, yeah, Matthew, you found it too. The famous singer and musician David Bowie, or David Bowie as we've been calling him, was actually born David Robert Jones, and he took the name Bowie after the Bowie knife because, in his own words, it cuts both ways.
Dude, Jackson, you made a reference to him. We called you dumb, but alas.
You were right.
Oh.
It wasn't even a reference, it was just truth.
It was just straight up Jackson. He was ahead of the game the whole time.
David Bowie is named after the Bowie knife.
So why
Yeah.
do we call him David Bowie? Did he want to be called
Well,
that? Or
are we
did
sure?
mess
Because
up his name?
I've always heard it pronounced Bowie knife. Are we sure it's not that?
Nope, it's Bowie.
Wow.
So is David Bowie David Bowie? Should we do that? Or did he mess it up when he named himself?
I don't know.
How do I say
I-
David Bowie?
I really wouldn't be surprised because the word itself looks like Bowie.
If you go to Wikipedia at the top, it says Bowie. It's Bowie.
Wow.
No, you're right. Yeah, on the Wikipedia for the knife, it's Bowie. The singer is Bowie.
Also, in the first-person shooter game Team Fortress 2,
Team
the
40, I was
sniper
gonna
character
say.
has an unlockable weapon named the Bushwhacker, which is styled after a Bowie knife. Why is that on the wiki?
Dude, some like TF2 nerd who has like all of his like dopamine receptors are just permanently ruined by 10,000 hours of TF2 was reading this article, and he just looks at this and goes, oh. This isn't even saying there is a Bowie knife in TF2. It's a weapon called the Bushwhacker, which only one of the characters can have. It's just for the sniper. It's called the Bushwhacker, and it's just styled after a Bowie knife. Like, it's
not even significant. Like the Bowie knife is in every single first-person
like, I don't
shooter
know.
ever
At that point, I
made.
should be like citing Sea of Thieves in the article about cutlasses. Like, I don't just cite Minecraft and the Sword wiki. No disrespect to Team Fortress 2.
No,
who am I
no,
to
none at
argue?
all.
I'm but a mortal.
It's been a while, but essentially what happened was Russia, they loved Pepsi. They loved it so much that they were selling more than what Russia could import.
I had to cut you off, but we're leaving out a very important detail, apparently. This was in 1989. This was not in like the 20s or anything. This was very recently.
What ended up happening, I'm telling this kind of cut down and short with not a lot of details, but what ended up happening was Russia just sold a lot of their ships to Pepsi, or like traded a lot of their like navy to just get Pepsi. And then Pepsi just ended up having this huge navy.
They had a
It's
lot.
like-
They had like submarines and all kinds of stuff.
So I'm seeing a more
Okay.
disappointing,
No.
fate
Hold
here.
on. Can I give the
17
numbers first before we go into the
Yeah. Give the
truth?
numbers first.
Please
the
do.
truth before we break the news.
Russia traded Pepsi a fleet of subs and boats. It included 17 submarines, a cruiser, a frigate, and a destroyer. Can you imagine? You're like lost at sea. You've been on this, raft for days and days. You're starving. You need water. And then you see the Pepsi destroyer cruising in.
The USS Pure Leaf Tea.
I swear, I love Pure Leaf.
The USS Brisk.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Mom,
Can you imagine?
Brisk? Dude, hot take, and this is going to be very controversial for reasons I won't explain now. Hot take, Brisk is just flavored corn syrup. I've never had such like a greasy tea in my life. It's not good.
Pepsi used to own Brisk. Apparently another company bought it like 2 years ago from Pepsi. And I was trying to figure out if Brisk actually would have had like a say in this navy, but unfortunately they didn't, because Brisk was founded in the 90s and this was in the 80s.
They didn't get in on the action.
Now, could the SS Mountain Dew have existed? Could you have pulled up in like a neon green destroyer,
Dude,
and just gone
I just
wild?
feel like the RMS water would have just beaten everybody though, because it's just in the ocean.
This is the water's domain.
Oh.
Imagine being like an enemy soldier and just raiding one of these ships, and you just look underneath and it's just all Pepsi. That's all that's in storage. There's nothing left.
Dude, do you think that like instead of firing shells at other ships, they just like fire Pepsi? They just like load up the cans and
Like
just
big empty
shoot them
cans.
out.
Just blast them.
No, they're full cans. They're like water balloons. but
Right.
Way more painful. They just-
So, Matthew, do you want to go into the rather disappointing side of the story? It's not exactly disappointing. It's just
okay. So we're gonna have me break the news. That's
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay,
yeah, I'm gonna have you
well,
rip off the Band-Aid for
you
us.
see, unfortunately, Pepsi's navy, as grand and established as it was, unfortunately, they were not very good submarines. They were very small and completely obsolete vessels that most of which were not even seaworthy, and they were all very rusty. Apparently, they were literally unusable. So saying that they had the largest navy, I could have the largest navy too if I put a bunch of metal cylinders in the water and called them submarines.
As fun as it is to believe that Pepsi is still the 6th largest military in the world, they sold everything for scrap parts and turned that metal into money, which is a little disappointing. I love the idea that Pepsi's just out there looking for Atlantis or something. But they no longer have all of these subs and boats and whatnot, unfortunately.
I like that was a trade that Pepsi accepted, was just, hey, you guys want these old subs we have? We ain't doing anything with them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I feel like in the meeting, like they're just sitting there, right? Russia's like, we'll give you our ships, our navy, and then Pepsi's just like,
Bet.
Bet. Yeah.
Just sure.
Dude, I
Well-
really wish that this was actually are companies permitted to own militaries and have their own are they allowed
I don't
to
know.
do
It
that?
was the 80s or 90s when this happened, right?
So there's this thing called the Second Amendment. Let's look it up real quick.
So what does that really that's the thing. What does that have to do? The right to bear arms is a far cry from the right to own 17 fully operational submarines. I would say that there is a firm distinction. I don't
I
want to get
mean,
political.
we could go down that
but-
road, but all I'm gonna say is a well-regulated militia.
So is a well-regulated militia, I would assume 17 fully functional submarines would be that.
Yes.
So
Well,
you could.
but is
yeah.
a corporation allowed to do that, or is that just the individual? Could I just build a massive military? Like what? I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
wondering.
what can they do?
I don't know. At what point does it become illegal?
I'm sure there's a good answer for that, and just because I don't know it doesn't mean it's not out there. But I sure hope there are parameters in place.
I kind of hope so.
So I guess Pepsi didn't keep its Navy for long, and I guess this was showed in a lawsuit. Apparently, by buying Pepsi products, you could get these things called like a Pepsi points.
Yes. The Harrier jet.
And, yes,
I was
so
literally just gonna segue into this, dude. Go on.
Oh, what? Hold on, what?
So Pepsi had this commercial where if you got enough Pepsi points, you could buy a Harrier jet, which is like a fighter jet.
How?
Yeah, no. So the commercial,
Can they do this again?
if you bought Pepsi products, you could get Pepsi points, and you could buy things like T-shirts and other Pepsi merch. But in the commercial, they put
Yeah.
in a Harrier jet as like a joke. Like if you got 7 million Pepsi points, you could get the Harrier jet. And then
Please tell me somebody got enough points to get a Harrier jet.
So yes, somehow somebody got enough Pepsi points to purchase a Harrier jet.
Oh, I love
But,
this story.
When he went to go and get his jet, they didn't have it. I guess because they weren't expecting that anyone was going to get that many points.
No, so the full story of what happened here is some guy saw this commercial, and this dude knew full out the gate that the commercial was satire. There was no way you were going to get a Harrier jet, but he ran the numbers and was like, "Yo, they're advertising a jet, and if I get 7 million Pepsi points, that will cost me less than the jet would cost." So he started rubbing his hands together, invested the money, got the Pepsi points, and just sent it in an envelope and was like, "Hey, yo, I want my jet." Thinking, well, if Pepsi denies me my birthright here, I can sue them. And he did.
Dude,
I want to be this guy.
what a guy.
He was a mastermind.
What's this guy's name?
His name was... Oh, what was it? Leonard, I guess was his
last name is Leonard.
Leonard.
Yeah, he was a 21-year-old business student, of course. And so I guess he realized, there's no fine print in the commercial. There's nothing saying that this isn't real, even though it's clearly satire. He claimed that a federal judge was incapable of deciding on the matter and that instead the decision had to be made by a jury consisting of members of the Pepsi generation to whom the advertisement would allegedly constitute an offer. So he said, "No, I am the voice of the people, and I want them here in the courtroom."
The people say Harrier jet to the citizens.
And Pepsi didn't even have one. Can you imagine, if they had lost, they crawl up to the United States military and were like, please, can you just lend us one?
Hold on though. In the Wikipedia article, apparently this is quoted word for word as an actual statement said in court. In light of the Harrier jet's well-documented function in attacking and destroying surface and air targets, armed reconnaissance and air interdiction, and offensive and defensive anti-aircraft warfare, depiction of such a jet as a good way to get to school in the morning is clearly not serious.
Dude, he's still alive. He lives in Washington, D.C. with his wife and children
Oh, my land.
as a park ranger.
Dude,
How
he's
did
a
this
park
end? Did they
ranger?
ever get my boy his jet?
I admire this man.
Yeah, did he ever?
I want an F-35.
So it looks like Pepsi actually, they didn't have to pay him a bunch of money, but they did have to change the commercial. The commercials now that was changed to 700 million Pepsi points was for which no one's ever going to get that many Pepsi points.
Yeah.
Or did
So-
they?
Or did they?
So this actually answers a question from earlier. The Pentagon stated that the Harrier jet, they couldn't give that to civilians unless they demilitarized it, which would have been like no missiles, no like stuff like that.
Oh,
Darn.
I like that John Leonard was like a year older than I am here. Like he's
Yeah.
21 years old.
He's my age.
He's like, hey, you know what? Pepsi
Dude,
plain.
He's my age.
Pep-
I
Yeah.
admire this man. I want to be this man.
Lockwood, this is the method for success. Spend all day watching TV and drink as much soda as possible. You will be a billionaire. Okay, I'm telling you right now. Go big or go home, man.
I have a bit of lore here that I've been very eager to discuss for the past week since I found it. And I feel like the best way to really dive into this is to just start with a video.
Jesse, you can't. You just sent. I mean, you gave me a little bit of context, but bruh, this looks hilarious, man. Just the
This is a man who
alone.
built bear-proof armor.
I don't see the thumbnail at all. I don't know what I'm about to get into.
Well, this guy, Troy, decided that he was fed up with bears.
Troy went all out. Make sure the volume is still quiet enough we can
In its
hear each
habitat.
other.
To save the
That's good.
wild animals, Hurtubises must study and learn more about them. Hurtubise invented this Mark VI, the world's first bear-proof suit made from titanium, plastic, rubber, and chainmail. And Hurtubise is convinced this 150-pound suit will protect anyone
real
from a
world Iron
grizzly's
Man.
deadly assault.
Oh,
To
here we go,
prove
here
his
we go.
theory that the suit does in fact work, Hurtubise risked his life and put it through test after test. First, he shot the suit with a 12-gauge shotgun.
So,
Then he launched a 300-pound log.
so
dead
he is
center
inside
towards
the
his
suit
chest.
during all this testing.
Is that
Oh.
dedication, or is he simply
He is inside
nuts?
the suit, and they just... Oh, here we go.
And if that's not crazy enough, he had a 3-ton truck ram right into him at a speed of 30 miles per hour. Well, he was
Dude.
having so much fun, he decided to toss himself down a ravine. All this without a scratch.
What?
My life is dedicated to the
So-
grizzly bear.
To
In the
prove
end,
how
because
awesome
of
his
Hurtubise's passion and hard effort,
grizzly-proof suit
the
was,
North American
he got
grizzly
hit with
will
a
live.
car,
The
shot,
question is,
threw himself down a cliff. Like, this armor just completely reduced any kinetic damage you might
Dude,
take.
do you think there's a way with modern technology and a larger budget to make this suit but like slimmer and more mobile? If he can withstand a 12-gauge shotgun to the chest without any problem and is just chill, why don't we just make more of these, make them more mobile, and put them on people?
Isn't that just like AR 500 armor? Isn't that just AR 500 plates?
Yeah, but how much did it cost this guy to build?
So there's not actually much information about it on the wiki. Maybe there is elsewhere, but he designed this grizzly-proof armor, and basically it proved completely invulnerable. But when he took it out into the wilderness to actually try to study bears with it, they were too scared of him and just ran off. So he couldn't actually get close.
Aw.
Because they just didn't even register that he was human.
I mean, that's fair. He looked like a tank. He was
Yeah.
like some horror in the
I mean,
woods.
could he not have tried to camouflage it so he wasn't going out there looking like a Power
Well,
Ranger?
then you've got this
Like,
walking bush coming at you. Bro does look like a Power Ranger, though.
Do you think that the bears looked at this guy and they were like, "Oh man, the skinwalker," and they all like, "Dude, is that what they thought this guy was?" They're like, "What are the humans up to?"
Wait, what? He won a Nobel Prize
Yo, what,
for safety engineering.
I hope so.
dude? Yeah, I mean, he deserves it.
So it looks like some of his stuff was not fully reliable. They were saying that he invented this thing called Angel Light, which was this thing that was supposed to make walls like transparent, like you could see through things. And apparently many experts have said that this is not real, like this was not actually accurate. He claimed that he began to feel ill when using it on himself.
Yeah, he tested the device on his own hand and said that he could see his own blood vessels and muscle tissue. Really weird. I don't know if it was like a ray gun or what. Do you know, Jackson?
My brother in Christ, that's X-rays.
I think
You
he
are
made an X-ray.
X-raying your hand.
I think is what he did. Although usually the
Said it killed a
X-ray wouldn't the
goldfish.
X. Oh yeah, what? It killed a goldfish? I feel like this is more complex than an X-ray, though, because he would just say, I saw my bones if it was an X-ray. But if this killed a goldfish, caused numbness, he could see his blood vessels and muscle tissue. Usually X-rays show bones, not blood vessels as much, at least in my understanding. I don't know. Maybe he found like a different version of an X-ray or
Sounds like he
something.
invented some Philadelphia experiment type stuff here.
Wait, he says that he shot a car with it and then the car stopped working? Apparently, it broke a radio, a TV, and a microwave oven, according to him.
It's just microwaves. It's literally just.
He's just shooting
I
waves
think he
really
just built a
fast at
microwave.
something.
His choice of test subjects for Angel Light seems really odd, like goldfish, refrigerators, cars, and his own hand. He just keeps blasting whatever he can find with Angel Light to see if it'll make it transparent. And it sounds like it worked on basically nothing.
Apparently, he also claimed that this could cure cancer.
Oh,
Huh.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it
that's
seems,
a bold claim to make
My
without.
friend, it causes cancer.
Yeah.
so it seems like some of his stuff was unreliable and some of his stuff was very cool. Like, so it doesn't. I think there was a reason some people didn't trust him with a lot of other things.
well, anytime somebody claims that their invention or their spiritualist methods cure cancer, that's immediately like, okay, yeah, this is complete bogus, isn't it? Like they claim the crystal skulls
Yeah.
could cure cancer, and that's how we know it's fake, basically. The Trojan armor, which was made in early 2007, actually sounds awesome. It was, as he described it, the first ballistic full exoskeleton bodysuit of armor. It was 40 pounds. It could withstand bullets fired from high-powered weapons, including an elephant gun. He published a demonstration video in which a 9mm 357 handgun and 12-gauge shotgun were all fired at the suit's vest from short range, and it didn't damage it.
Why did we not do more with this guy? But yeah, apparently nobody wanted to buy it, even though it only cost. He said that it would cost about $2,000 each to mass produce. But apparently nobody wanted to buy it at all, so he put it up on auction and nobody wanted it.
Hey, he put it on eBay, didn't he?
Yeah, he put it on eBay. Nobody wanted it. What? Somebody won the suit and then donated it back to Hurtubise.
He died.
He did. He died. I just saw that too.
Oh, he died in a vehicle collision.
He did. He died. I mean, it was terrible. It was an accident, but he died by driving into an explosion, basically.
He drove into a gasoline truck. His car collided with it. He blew up, but the transport truck driver was
in
all
Crystal
right.
Lake. That's not even that far from here. That's like right across the
Well, he was
border into
Canadian.
Canada.
Yeah, he was a
apparently he was
Canadian inventor.
Yeah, I've actually,
Dude.
I believe I've been to Crystal Lake actually.
He only died in 2018, so like for most of my life, he's been alive.
Rest in peace. Honestly, this guy is super cool.
He's awesome. Hey again, it's Jesse. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Deep Lore Boys podcast. If you had fun, please share this episode with one of your non-reptilian friends, and we'll see you next time. Until then, I hope your day is nothing short of interesting. Take care.
I'm going to go post that one on twitter.com.